Right, we're now recording. You should all be able to see that. So once again, welcome to today's event, Ambition, Mystery and Romance. Can you play the game? Which I'm going to introduce. I'm Paul Wake from Manchester Met, and my colleague Kiley Dunbar is going to take us through a wonderful book. So because they're my favourite thing practically, I wanted to say a little bit about adventure game books, which is the subject of what we're talking about. So if I can make my screen work. Many of you will already know the history of sort of interactive fiction and game books, and those of you based in the UK will probably most likely recognise the Fighting Fantasy series, which inaugurated the huge popularity of game books, published between 1982 and 1995. At their time, outselling Roald Dahl in the UK. These were hugely popular and largely aimed at a male audience. They're second-person fiction in which you choose what you happen, and you might sound like a fairly gender-neutral term, but it's clearly not if you read the books and pay attention to the content. If you're joining us from America, you might not be as familiar with that series, and you might know this one, the Choose Your Own Adventure books, which were published between 1976 and 1998, and arguably more popular, but I don't think as good, because they don't have the exciting game mechanics that we find in the Fighting Fantasy books. Let me get my clicking thing to work. These books arguably aimed at young male readers. There was a magazine that was so popular, ran for 13 issues, called Warlock, published in the UK. And I've just selected one letter from the letters pages of Warlock that gives you a sense of the readership of this. Dear Warlock, wrote one avid fan, being a sorceress of extreme skill, not forgetting my superior powers with the sword and overwhelming modesty, I'm disgusted, nay amazed even, to find that so few females seem to be mentioned in your magazine. I won't read the entirety of the letter, but this reader calls out the writers of the magazine, the editors, for their sexism. And the response you can see at the bottom of the screen, hopefully. Well, it seems that females are good for something after all. The essence of Baspleen was much appreciated. So this is a point in sort of history and in these games where hero is definitely connected to the male reader. And the you can see on the screen a dictionary definition that I found quite delightful today. Hero, a man, or occasionally a woman. So this was the kind of the setting of the scene. No, but there were women readers out there, and I constructed this in very scientific mathematical formula to explain the origins of the Starlight Adventures. And you can see on the left, fiction for young women, focusing on horse riding. So the very popular Saddle Club books. Carly alerted me to the first Love series from Silhouette, and this book, Change Partners, is one with a horsey theme. This is also the time of Jilly Cooper's book Riders, published slightly later. It's not really a historical fitting text. 1985. Then we have the Walk of Firetop Mountain, which was published in 1982, and is the first of the Fighting Fantasy game books. I've cheated a bit because the first edition didn't have the adventure game books zigzag tag across the top, but I wanted to show you that the Star Rider book in the Starlight Adventure series shares that adventure game books tagline across the top. By book 6, and there are only 6 books in the Starlight Adventure series, that is dropped, and they're no longer part of that series. And I'd love to get inside the Puffin and Penguin archives and find out what decision led to that change in the graphic design. They weren't very popular, and clearly the series stops quite quickly after 6 books. The 6th book is called Trance. But we're looking at book 1, Star Rider, which you can see on the screen, a magnificent book about horse riding. So those of you who've played these books or read these books will know that you are offered a choice and you pick what you want to do next. Here is Chloe's map, or a section of Chloe's magnificent map of Star Rider. So this is every entry of the book sort of mapped in a sort of tree diagram form or a kind of database. It's a magnificent piece of work, and it reveals all kinds of fascinating things about the book. One of them being how little choice there is at certain points, and others about the kind of key nodes there are in the text. But again, we can maybe discuss that at the end if there's time. The interesting thing for me, or one of them about this book, is that the endings are ambiguous, to say the least, and what constitutes winning isn't simply defeating the warlock and getting his treasure. It's left up to you as the reader to decide. So this is quite a revolutionary thing in these books, in a way. You yourself will be the judge of the winning solution. Everyone has different aims in life, and it's rare that life goes according to plan. So an interesting sort of mechanic here, or sort of the option of winning, how you determine winning, is left to the reader. What's different about this book from the others is there are no dice rolls, there's no coin flipping. Other books in this series have all kinds of interesting mechanics, including things based on your star signs, tossing coins. But this book is simply a series of choices. So that's, I need to stop talking because we'll run out of time. There's lots to say about this book. It's absolutely fascinating to look at how it works. I'm going to hand over to Kiley Dunbar, who is a romance author. I've stolen a bit of blurb from the Hera Books website, largely because I love the last sentence. She thinks making imaginary people find happiness and fall hopelessly in love has to be the best job in the world. One of the nice things about my job is that I get to work with lots of really creative people, and Kiley is one of them. So it's a real pleasure to be able to welcome Kiley and to share this kind of discussion of romance books. So we're going to read a bit of Star Rider. It's a book by Carole Carreck. We think this is a pseudonym. We can't find any evidence that there's a real Carole Carreck. Kiley's going to read it and you're going to choose it. So you are the heroines, plural possibly, of this. So I will hand over. Shall I stop sharing my screen? Would that be better, Kiley?
It does look rather nice though, doesn't it? But it's up to you. I don't mind one bit. Hello everybody, welcome. Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction, Paul. That's very kind of you, and what a joy to be able to work with the Game Centre and colleagues Paul and Chloe. Thank you. I wonder, tell me in the chat if any of you have actually played this game, read this book. It would be lovely to know if you've already worked your way through the story. So what I'm going to do is I think there's quite a hefty before the story starts section. Paul, do you reckon I should work my way through this bit? It tells us, maybe I'll be able to miss some chunks.
I think a bit of backstory would be really useful. And do you want to say how you'd like the sort of next half hour out to run?
Sorry, say again, I missed that.
I was saying, do you want to explain what we're going to ask people to do or hope they might do?
So I think when we get to a choice, there'll be a choice, turn to page something or something, and I'm going to invite you, all of our lovely guests, to volunteer yourselves. Who wants to be the person to make the next choice and take us down one particular path? So as we get to each spot where we make a choice, I'll invite somebody to just jump into the chat and tell us their thoughts. Or you might want to pop your mic on and let us know your reason for choosing that particular choice. Maybe we can sort of try and unpack what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve with these particular choices. I know when I read it, I was desperately trying to get myself a happy ever after love story.
If you like, Kiley, I can just keep an eye on the chat. If people indicate that they'd like to be involved by typing in the chat, then I can, if there's more than one person, I can try and manage so everyone gets to go. I'll do that if you like.
That would be lovely. Thank you. So here we are on before the story starts. I wonder if some of you are reading along. I know Jeevney is. She's got her copy there. So you, the reader, are the heroine of this story. You have ridden horses all your life and have great natural ability as a rider. You have secretarial qualifications, but your one ambition in life is to own a good horse and make a career for yourself riding. But how do you do it? You can achieve this goal in many different ways by following the various routes through this book. The path you choose to follow will be entirely of your own making and will vary according to the decisions you take along the way. However, there are elements of luck, judgment, and skill which will affect your outcome, the outcome of your efforts. Inevitably, as in life, situations occur which are beyond your control, no matter how carefully or logically you act. But if you persistently make wrong decisions, you will fail. Equally, if you always opt for the easy or safe solution, you will find that you stand still while everything else leaves you behind, and you will achieve very little. You yourself will be the judge of the winning solution. Everyone has different aims in life, and it is very rare that life goes according to plan. It may be that you are very fortunate and finish the story as you expected and planned. It is more likely that you will find yourself in situations where you are forced to take decisions that, given different circumstances, you would not normally have taken. Such is life, and such is the world of horses. You will discover that there are many kind and generous people who will help advise and assist you. You will also discover that there are many other people who are ruthlessly ambitious and will stop at nothing to prevent you achieving your ambitions or to push you beyond your powers of endurance. Some you will meet to your great advantage, others you will wish you had never encountered. Use your skill to assess the people you meet. Use your judgment to overcome the problems you encounter. Flip a coin if you cannot make a reasonable decision, but do not trust to chance too often. You are in a position to start your story through luck. You have inherited some money, not a fortune, but sufficient to buy a horse with potential, which is a risk, as you will not know whether it has that potential. You will also have very little money left over, so you will have problems equipping yourself and training your horse. However, you have made up your mind and told your parents your decision. Your mother fully supports you, but your father is dead against the idea, which means that there will be no support from him. You have a good friend, Maria, and you have discussed your plans with her. She is enthusiastic because she shares your love of horses, but being a great realist points out the fundamental problem: how to get on in what is essentially a rich man's sport without a rich man's income. Aware of the problem, you have at least covered the first potential snag, the question of stabling. Another friend of yours, Richard Henderson, has offered to stable a horse for you. He has a farm near to your parents' home and has stabling facilities. He has been a family friend for years, and this offer seems to be the perfect opportunity for you to take the next step of buying a horse. So you make your purchase by attending a local sale at a reputable dealer. Your mother comes with you for moral support, and you attend with a view to seeing what caliber of horse you can buy with the limited funds available to you. To your great surprise, one horse takes your fancy, a bay mare called Braid. She is standing with her ears inquisitively twitching back and forth. She has a neat head with a smallish white flash like a dagger running down her nose. I love that description. That's the kind of description you give to a romance hero at the start of the novel, that sort of level of detail. Gorgeous. There is power in her shoulders and haunches and real intelligence in her eyes. Braid seems to survey you, and in that moment of recognition, you are committed to buying her. So we're in love already. The bidding starts, and you find that there is only one other serious bidder. At one point, where you could go no higher, you're suddenly on your own, the hammer falls, and Braid is yours. You have started with luck and very little money for anything else. Now read on. So we jump here, look at this beautiful Braid. What a hunk. Oh. You brought her, Braid, beautiful, bright, intelligent, strong and proud, a real horse. Your mother squeezes your arm and gives you a hug. My goodness, she says, I never really thought you'd succeed. Thanks, Mum. What on earth do you do now? Phone Maria, you reply, smiling, and we skip to page 26. You walk to the exit and the phone to call Maria. Her line is engaged. Just like Maria, you say to yourself. Just wait till she hears about Braid. You walk back to where you left your mother. At the entrance, a good-looking man in his mid-30s opens the door for you. That was quite a purchase you just made. By the look on your face, it was a private purchase. I think you may need a drink. May I buy you one? He looks like a kind and charming man. Here we are. Decision 1. If you agree to have a drink with him, page 89. If we decline, page 176. Are we having a drink with this man?
Jennifer and Charlotte are saying no.
Decline the drink.
Decline the drink. Dave wonders how old the protagonist is. Tim Cockett is shrieking, keep away from this man. But Quan Oliver says, yes, I say yes too. So never let up an opportunity like this. You know, it's a rich man's game. How are you going to get on? With the help of a rich man, I assume. So
should we have a drink with this rich man, this good-looking man?
3 drinks all the way, says Steve. So
yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Okay, so sorry, I've already lost the page because I was so excited about a decision. What was it? 18?
Paul would like to drink with this man. Some people are concerned about the age difference, but
yeah. Well, yeah. How old do we think she is? She's sort of, were we told she's 20 something? She's young, isn't she?
She's young, yeah.
Okay, well, let's go and have a drink. Yes, we'll order something sensible, hopefully. As you both walk towards the bar, he turns to you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Charles Bingham, but friends call me CB. I'd be happy if you would call me the same. Charles sounds terribly formal to me now. Thank you, you reply. I don't think I could cope with much more formality today. This is really very kind of you. Well, there are very few sales where one has the opportunity of meeting such an attractive and enthusiastic buyer. Listen, would you like to drink here in the main bar or come with me to the club bar? I think you might meet some interesting people there. What do we think? Are we going through to the exclusive bit of the Horsey Club to have a drink? Or are we going to stay in the main bar where everybody can see us and presumably we could find our mum again? Let me know. Oh, club bar, VIP.
There's a lot of love for the club bar.
Yeah.
A lot of love. Oh, Quan says stay in the main bar, it's safer.
It is safer. It's much safer. It's so interesting that
Steve says take the stud to the club. So
yeah, any police around? Maybe the mother.
Dave, the mum doesn't get a drink invite. No, she's still waiting in the car park.
She's wandered off, hasn't she? I love that the part of the fantasy is that there's nobody watching her. She's free. She's got her horse. She's entering this adult world of glamour and sophistication. And her watchful parents are nowhere to be seen, very much like a sort of contemporary standard romance novel. So what are we doing? Are we going to that? We're going to the posh bar.
I think in the main, the vibe in the chat is club bar, although a couple of warnings to stay public and in the main bar where it's safe, but we've
got no common sense, have we?
No.
Okay. As you enter the club bar, you are aware of the fact that you are entering the upper echelons of the racing world. All around, you see trainers, owners, and jockeys, some of whom you recognize. Charles seems completely at home and either greets or smiles at most of the people present. Having said you'd had enough of formality, you suddenly feel out of your depth and wish you could leave. Do you feel you can't cope? In which case, you can say you have to see your mother, make your apologies and leave, or will you decide to continue? What do we think? Are we going to do a runner out of the club before we're
committed now, surely?
No, I feel I want to stay.
I'm not sure. I thought I fell out of my depth. I feel out of my depth. The book tells me I feel out of my depth, but then offers me the choice to see if I can cope with that. Do I like the sort of vertigo of this? Is the heady atmosphere in which I'm out of my depth but excited?
I mean, having spent my entire life feeling out of my depth, it never stopped me just diving in even deeper. I mean, it didn't always work out well. But
Tim Cockett suggests that Charles Bingham might be the 4th Earl of Lucan, so worth staying, I think. I
think we should stay on Tim's advice. I mean, go and see the mother and apologise and feel bad about it, or just plough on.
Party on. But and like, you know, Mr. Bingham, he strikes me as sort of like an Austen hero. Like he's going to be nice deep down.
He's on at least 5,000 a year, definitely. I think.
Charles senses your nervousness and asks if you are all right. Yes, thank you, you reply. I'm just a bit overwhelmed, and I've remembered that my mother thinks I'm phoning a friend. I really ought to let her know where I am, Charles. I haven't even paid for Braid yet. Please, says Charles, call me CB. Only my bank manager calls me Charles. Come and meet some friends of mine. They'll look after you while I go and tell your mother where you are. If you make out the check, I'll settle up for you as well. Okay, do we agree to meet his friends or do we leave? Let me know.
There's an awful lot of pushing you to leave.
Yeah, maybe he's a con artist. Don't pay him. Don't give him the check. She's gonna hand over a blank check to Mr.
Oh, he's got a badge. This man's he's legit. He's fine. I think Lisa's saying meet the friends. Dave's saying don't pay him. It's tricky.
Okay.
John Lean says give him all the money. I'd love to give him all the money.
Just
Kirsten says don't pay him. The vibe is very strong not to pay him.
no, I don't want to give him the money. I wonder if I can maybe this is the kind of moment where I'm going to get further agency in my next choice. So maybe I can meet his friends and I still get the chance to not hand over the check.
Yeah, and take charge of your own destiny.
I mean, I'm not giving him a check. Do I even have my own bank account? I'm wondering, is it mommy's check? I don't know. Okay, shall we meet his friends? Go and hug the horse. That's going to be a more rewarding relationship. Okay, sorry, I feel like I'm going against the crowd. Meet his friends, don't give him money. Jeeve, always sensible person. Okay, let's see what happens. 207. Oh, I'm getting nervous for her now in the club. Okay, sorry, I'm being a bit slow. Okay, CB leads you to a table with 3 people round it. They greet CB and acknowledge you with warmth as an associate of his. CB introduces you as the lady who bought Braid. You shake hands with each of them and they say who they are. Giles Parker, friend of CB, haven't got a clue about horses, just love the place and like to see it all go on. He sounds very dapper and man about town. Liz Knowles, my husband Jerry and I have a pony stud in North Wales. I love the horse you've just bought. Well done. The remaining person introduces himself as Paul Phillips, trainer. I like the look of Braid. I think she could do well. She's very fit. CB says he'll go and find your mother and pay for Braid. Aha. If you still feel uneasy, say you'll go with him or give him the check and stay and chat with these 3 new people. What will we do?
Well, you've got a horse trainer and a people with who run a pony stud. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's new people. See, everyone's saying go with him. They don't trust him. They don't trust him.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. I mean, a man asking you for money 10 minutes after you've met him.
He's just being avuncular. I trust him implicitly.
He's being avuncular. Oh, that's very sweet. I mean, I wonder if our character here, because she's had quite a sheltered life, I wonder if she would also feel he was being avuncular and wanting to help her.
Well, the vibe among the audience is that he is, to quote Emma, a wrong un. Yeah. We should not give him our money.
Right. Okay. Shall I go with him and settle up?
I think this is the last 10 years of Tory rule in Britain has made us distrustful of rich men.
Oh, quite.
And our finances.
And that is absolutely mirrored in the contemporary romance market, isn't it? That we're just a little bit sus about the millionaire trope, the billionaire trope. They always have to have something in their characterization that redeems them from the fact that they're filthy rich. They have to be giving to charity, or they have a foundation that helps people. So yeah, I think there is something in there about how that's influenced romance over the years. But here in the 80s, we like this. I think we're slightly less suspicious, maybe. I think we're on 326. Oop, missed a page. Oh, it's a short one. Oh, as you walk back to where you left your mother, CB says, there she is over there. How did you know, you ask? Family resemblance, smiles CB. Will you excuse me? I have some people to see. I wish you the very best of luck and hope to see you in the winner's enclosure one day. You thank him for all his help. Turn to page 259. We got no choice. Oh, Have we made a boo-boo? Oh no.
Turn down the help of an avuncular rich man.
Oh no. How are we going to get back in the club without him? We can't, can we?
We've been binned off as
We've
old
blown
men.
it. We've blown it. You walk up to your mother, who God knows where she's been. Hello, dear, she says. Did you get through to Maria? No, you say, she's engaged as usual. Never mind, you can try again in a minute. You'd better go and settle up, and don't forget to phone Richard to ask him to collect Braid. Yes, mother, you say affectionately. You feel pleased she is happy about Braid. You only wish your father would be as sympathetic. That is going to be the first big hurdle. You go and pay and decide to try Maria again. Okay, so Braid is yours. Okay, turn to page 47, another one with no choice. Woo, all the way back to 47. Check it's definitely 47. Okay. This time you get through. Oh, Maria, it's me. Guess what? You haven't bought a horse. I have. She's beautiful. Her name is Braid. And oh, that's fantastic. I never thought you'd do it. Listen, you must come round now and tell me everything. I can't yet. I have to phone Richard first and ask him to collect Braid, and mother's here. Is she okay about it? Dear me, I bet your father will be furious. Oh, you must come over. Phone Richard and pop round for a quick coffee. Your mother won't mind. Okay, you say, and put down the phone and call Richard. 119, there's only one version of this phone call. 119. Boop, boop, boop. Let's phone Richard. Find out what he's like. So this is the nice man who's going to pick up your horse and stable it. Did I say 119? Sorry.
You did. 119.
Yeah, I got confused. Hello, Richard. Remember that stable you offered me? Well, I need it tonight. Well done, says Richard. I'll be over straight away with the box and we'll bring the horse back. What is it, by the way? She's called Braid, you reply. You go on to explain that you've promised to see Maria first. That's no problem. Come over afterwards. Leave an authorization so that I can pick up Braid and get in touch later. I'm very excited for you. Now, you've got two choices here. If you change your mind and wait for him, that's your option. Or you can go to Maria as planned. So do you sack off your friend? Just because Richard does seem quite enthusiastic.
I think always sack off the friend for a potential date.
Yeah, I mean, poor Maria's desperate to hear all about it. Nothing like a stable gentleman. That's lovely.
I mean, I think tired of waiting for that man. See Maria. I don't trust him either. Everyone's after the horse. There's no trust in this audience at all.
Really?
I have to say, whenever I play any of these game books, I've done 3 now in a row, I always try to meet as many men as possible in order to maximize my romantic outcomes. So no point in wasting time on girls in this scenario.
Yeah, well, I mean, what good is Maria? We can have coffee and talk about the horse. How would that go? How would that advance our horse?
A dead end, Steve suggests.
I'm already turning the page to 267. We're waiting for Richard, everybody. I want to see this guy. He has all the markers of the sort of contemporary romance hero. He's kind, he's gentle, he's enthusiastic, he's interested, he's encouraging, he supports her career. To me, he sounds like a right winner. Let's find out. Yeah, maybe it's a groundbreakingly progressive book where Maria might be the potential love interest. I would have loved that. Okay, Richard arrives in his gleaming Range Rover with a single horse box in tow. He looks surprised but pleased to see you. I thought you were going to Maria's, he asks. I am, but I wanted to be with you when you first see Braid, and there she is. She's beautiful, says Richard, genuinely impressed. Come on, let's get her loaded up. That done, Richard says, I'll see you later, and gives you an affectionate kiss on the lips and a hug. Well done, he says softly. You feel very warm and safe in Richard's company. It feels nice to be close to him, and it's the first time he's kissed you like that, exclamation mark. So what do? Do you decide to go home first, or are you going straight to Maria's now?
I mean, I feel that it was worth it, Kylie, for for
I think
Richard.
it was worth it. I think that was quite nice. Notice there was no consent checking there. In a contemporary novel, he would say, "May I kiss you?" But he just went straight for the lips. A bit naughty. Okay, so what are we going to do? Are we going to see Maria?
Lisa says go see Maria. I guess you need to fill her in with
No, I feel sorry for her, really. She's been a bit neglected. We've only had a horse for half an hour and we've already dumped her. Let's go and see her. You arrive at Maria's house. She greets you with a big hug and hurries you inside. This is 193, sorry, if you're reading along. Come on, I want to hear all about the horse, she says, before you know where you, sorry, if you're plotting along. Before you know where you are sitting in the kitchen with a mug of hot coffee in your hands, telling Maria all about Braid. Maria's face lights up. That's wonderful news, a bay. She's a real winner, Maria. She already treats me like an old friend and has such a sweet temperament. From her build, I reckon she has stamina too. Who knows, Braid and I might be international stars one day if we can both get the right training. Are you going to jump her? Asks Maria. I'll have to see. I'd like to train her for eventing. As you talk, vistas of a golden future open up before you. But then Maria brings you down to earth with a jolt. It's an expensive business, you know. Where will you get the money from? She asks. How on earth can you afford to get Braid the kind of training she needs? Perhaps I could get a job at a stables, you suggest. I could make a bit of money and learn at the same time. It's not that easy, says Maria realistically. There's no shortage of riders prepared to do odd jobs at stables for free. But if you really are serious about this and are prepared to work hard, I could put you on to Andre Yates. Who's he? An old friend of the family. He has an eventing stables outside Fettlesham and he's been successful lately. He's very nice when you get to know him. But he's not the easiest man to get on with. I'd imagine he might be the very devil to work for. But is he good, you ask? Oh, yes. Look, here is his address and phone number. Why don't you get in touch with him? So are we phoning Andre Yates, this hotshot horsey man, or are we going to ask Richard for his advice? Or third option, maybe you just don't know what to do. What are we going to do?
Paul wants an edgy and powerful man.
Yes.
I think Andre sounds hot. He's got a slightly foreign sounding name, so clearly that means he's in the genre of the adventure game book.
Yeah, he does sound a bit exciting.
Bring
Bring the prickly dude.
Bring the prickly dude.
Oh, you're all hot for Andre. Poor Richard's not getting a look in now. Oh my goodness. 309. I'm warning you, I don't think this is going to end well. He's not marked out as a goodie. Oh no.
I think you're getting a lot of support for this decision, Kylie. People are saying the boring Range Rover, turn them off. They're more interested in the new hot man. At least you've got two hot men on the hook then.
Well, that's true, actually. That's true. Let's see what happens. Poor Richard's at home getting your horse settled in, and here you are. It is some time before Andre Yates comes to the phone. He's keeping you waiting already. You feed the box with coins nervously. Supposing you are cut off before you can explain everything. Oh, Andre Yates? You start telling him about Braid, but you are nervous, and your carefully rehearsed patter seems to make no sense to him. You sense a growing impatience at the other end. Who am I speaking to? Oh, you are a friend of Maria's? Why didn't you say so? Andre seems to thaw a little, and he hears you out. Well, he says, when you have finished, I'd certainly be happy to meet you for a chat. I'm very busy for the rest of this week. Could you come over on Sunday? Turn to page 99, no options. We're meeting him on Sunday. Hey, let's go meet him. I'm all excited now. Maybe Andre is the right choice. Sunday comes around at last. Andre Yates's stable is a sprawling old Georgian house on the outskirts of Fettlesham. You notice that everything needs a lick of paint, but that the yard is spotlessly clean. It is clear that Yates has spent his money on the horse's comfort rather than on luxuries, and you approve of that wholeheartedly. When you meet Andre, you can understand Maria's comments. He is a man of few words and seems strangely reserved. He is dark and tall and more than a little menacing. You sense that he is observing you carefully all the time, and you feel uncomfortable. You find yourself prattling away about everything under the sun and laughing nervously when you get no response. Well, your riding is promising enough, he says, after you have taken his horse around the paddock, and you seem to be prepared to work hard, but I can't really make a final decision until I've seen your horse. Braid, isn't that her name? His abrupt manner is beginning to get under your skin. How will you react to this demand? Do you get angry? Do you suggest that he sees Braid at Richard's? Or do you calmly arrange for Braid to be brought here? So do we get angry, suggest that he sees Braid at Richard's stable, or do you calmly arrange for Braid to be brought here to Andrew's sprawling Georgian house?
All very, very different options coming up. We've got send him to Richard, bring him to Richard's, less stress for the horse. That's true. Kirsten's right. I mean, interesting there. Kirsten says it's less stress for the horse. Andre might appreciate that.
That's quite nice, actually. It's true. He does love horses more than humans, I think. Shall we try that? Let's go and see. I'd love to see Richard and Andre meeting, wouldn't you? I wonder if they know each other. Ooh, let's have a look. Okay, 68. Can you come over to the farm where I'm keeping Braid? You ask Andre Yates. She's at Richard Henderson's place. Perhaps you know him. No, I can't. And I don't think I do, replies Andre bluntly. It's very difficult for me to get Braid over here, you explain. Young lady, says Andre wearily, you tell me that you are serious about intending to ride in competition. It will be up to you to sort out your own transport then, and the sooner you get used to that, the better. If you feel that he is being unreasonable, that's one option, or do you decide to ask Richard to bring Braid? What do we do? Is he being unreasonable? We don't know what she does. She just feels he's being unreasonable. That's one option.
We've angered him.
What have we done? We've upset Andre. Should we have done that?
Ask Richard to bring Braid.
Do we decide to ask Richard to bring Braid?
I mean, I feel bring Braid. People are saying we need to try and impress this man now.
I agree. Bring Braid. We're gonna lose this man.
Oh, we're just going to ignore that, everybody. Okay.
He doesn't seem to be unreasonable. Ask Richard. He's not being. I think you're overreacting. Basically, thinking he's unreasonable. He's a busy man. He's got a stable to run.
Okay. 232. 223. Sorry. Richard is none too pleased. Oh my goodness, we've upset Richard now. When you ask him to drive Braid over to Fettlesham in the horse box next Wednesday, but he agrees reluctantly. He makes his dislike of Andre Yates very plain, and it crosses your mind that he might feel jealous in some way. Far from taking offence, Andre seems mildly amused at Richard's disgruntled appearance, and this only serves to make things worse. Typically, Andre says little about Braid, but he gives her an expert examination and seems to be impressed by the way she handles in the paddock. He tells you that he must think things over, and we're going way back to page 9. No choice. It's for you, Richard shouts from the farmhouse. Who is it? You have only just returned to Richard's from the eventing stables and settling in Braid. Okay. Friend Yates. He pulls a sarcastic face as he passes you the receiver. Andre, hello. I hope you would be back by now. I have thought things over and decided to offer you a job as my assistant. How about it? Are we accepting or are we saying no? Got a job.
This is at a very important moment, I think. Yes, accept. It's going crazy for accept. We seem to be very enthusiastic about taking the job.
I love that he took his time to think about it. He made you sweat a bit.
Get that job. Yes, please.
You can hardly believe your luck. Andre might not be easy company, but you feel instinctively that despite his flinty exterior, he is trustworthy and dependable. You're sure that Braid will respond to him magnificently. What about accommodation? Andre interrupts your train of thought. You won't be able to travel all the way from your home each day. He seems to hesitate for a minute and then raises a finger and beckons. Follow me, the heroic finger. You walk round the back of the stables and climb some stone steps to a door. When I had these outbuildings converted to a garage, I bet he'd say garage, I made this loft space into a flat, he explains. It's still a bit rough and ready, but we could make it comfortable with a few furnishings. What do you say? The room smells of freshly planed wood. Sunlight streams in through the open windows. It would be wonderful to have a place of your own, but perhaps it might be better to rent a place in the village and keep a little distance between you and the stables. Are you accepting his offer of not only a job, but now a gorgeous place to stay? Or are you going to look for another flat? Hell yeah. Yeah, okay.
I think yes, we've been cut off from our father, haven't we? We've got no money.
Yeah, I mean,
This man's a good man.
Never look a gift horse.
exactly. I got to say, I mean, that flat sold it for me. It did sound very, very zhuzhy.
I mean, the thing about this is, it's a bit like, you know, this horse riding world. It's full of kind of interns whose mummy and daddy who are footing the bill whilst they prance around on horses. We don't have that. We've got to take every little scrap we can find. If we have to find our own flat, we're obviously going to be working in the chippy or the pub to pay for it. I mean, no less time for horse riding, surely.
That's so true. And we get away from our dad as well, who's not very keen on our horsey ambition.
He's just a downer, that guy.
Yeah. So I quite like this. I'm moving in. I'm on 33 already. You are moving into the flat at Yates's stables next Saturday. Your mother says she'll be sorry to see you go, but she turns out pots and pans for you and makes up a box of provisions to start you off in your new kitchen. Your father snorts. Who is this Yates character? You watch out for him, my girl. He sounds like an odd one to me. I'll be fine, you protest. He's just a boss like any other. Don't you worry. And if you're insinuating that there's some romance in the air, nothing could be further from the truth. I don't think he likes me very much, if you must know. Even as you say the words, you begin to wonder if they're true. The days pass by in a whirlwind of activity, and it is a small miracle that everything is ready by the time Saturday dawns, and we're jumping all the way to 332. No choice. Ooh, let's have a look. Oh, I'm so excited for her. Starting a whole new life. It came quite easily though. She hasn't suffered yet to earn it. That's what worries me. Normally in a contemporary romance, you've got to suffer and go through some pain in order to get your big payoff. Things are landing in her lap, so I'm a bit worried about that. Okay, 332. It's lunchtime when you arrive at Fettlesham with the borrowed horse box. You unload all your things and settle Braid in her new stable. Andrew lends you a hand, and in no time at all, Braid is happily munching a carrot from your outstretched hand. Andrew glances at Braid and then at his watch. It is a nice horse you've got there. Look, I must be running along. I have to go to lunch at the Warrington Smythes. It's a bit of a bore, to tell you the truth, but I have promised. I'll be back late afternoon. If anybody asks for me, I hope you don't mind being left on your own. Okay, so do you wish Andre had invited you to come along to the Warrington Smythes, or are you quite happy to stay behind and settle in?
Both.
Yeah,
I'm happy to stay here, but I wish he'd invited me.
I wish he'd invited me. Am I going to have a strop? Is there a chance we can wangle an invite to these Warrington Smythes who are a bit of a bore? Makes me wonder what's their deal. Interesting. What are we thinking? Invitation?
I think we need to try and get an invitation by showing how fun and witty we are.
Shall we have a bit of try and wangle an invite? Because staying at home, what are we going to do? We're going to end up unpacking our Wham albums. Or, what are we going to do? Let's go see what's happening. 1, 2, 3. Let's try and wangle an invite. Oh gosh, I should be quicker at this. Do you think there's a choose your own adventures? Like, do you get better with time? Get speedier? I'm so slow. Okay, here we go. Andre drives off to the Warrington Smythes. Well, they're probably a snooty lot with a name like that, you console yourself. Even so, you feel alone and suddenly a little vulnerable. What have you let yourself in for? You put Braid's tack in the tack room and admire the collection of Andrew's rosettes. Maria mentioned that he had once been a superb rider in his own right, and you wondered why he ever gave up to become a trainer. You settle into the flat. A pot of geraniums on the windowsill serves to cheer the room up, and you unpack your things. You telephone Richard, and he offers to come over this evening to take you out to dinner. You could do with some company, and so accept with pleasure. Okay, well, we didn't wangle an invite, but Richard's taking us to dinner, and there's no choice. We've got to go. We're turning to page 42. So, okay. I prefer this to, this Warrington Smythes, don't you? Okay. Blah, 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 42. You run yourself a bath and luxuriate in the hot soapy water, dreaming sweet dreams. The spell is broken by the ring of the telephone. Wrapping a towel around yourself, you rush into the sitting room. Hello, Richard? Sorry, love. I'm running late. I thought I should warn you. One of our cows has had a difficult delivery, and I must stay on and help Jimmy Morris, the cowman. If you agree to wait for Richard at the flat, page 70. If you agree to meet him later at the pub in Fettlesham, turn to 75. So are you going to ferry yourself to the pub? Or are we going to, wait for Richard at the flat? Or
We
go
can
to
get
the
to a
pub?
pub. Come on. We can.
Surely. I mean, we're only on the outskirts of Fettlesham. I could walk.
Do we have to wait for Richard again?
I know. And the cowman could be ages, couldn't he? And
How did he call us love? Like, sorry, love.
I know.
Am I feeling patronised, or is this
Rob
affection?
Gallagher suggests that the cowman might be an alibi, and I'm now beginning to be a bit suspicious about who we might be entertaining. Oh, sorry, the cowman's come. I reckon he's got Marie around there, and he's probably, wine and dining her, and then going to take us out for a drink.
Oh, Richard, you better not be. You better not be. But I agree with Paul. I think sorry, love's a bit much, isn't it? Not. Yeah. Let's go to the pub. Let's go.
To the pub.
And okay, I've got a gorgeous picture to show you in a second. Oh, swoon. At last, you are sitting down to supper with Richard at the Feathers in Fettlesham. Sounds brilliant, actually. I'd love that. An 80s pub called the Feathers. Sorry, it's nothing very grand, he says. Okay, so I'm going. Can you see Richard in all his? Okay, where's my camera? That. Oh, there he is. Oh, in his blow-dried magnificence. Oh, okay, so there.
It looks like Tom Hanks, Kylie.
What a hunk! Full lips, blow-dried hair, gorgeous face. Oh, okay. So Richard's sitting with you. So presumably the cowman was done quickly. Sorry, it's nothing very grand, he says. Still, what could be more pleasant after a crisis on the farm than to be sitting here with you? Suddenly his face darkens. Oh, Lord. What's the matter, you ask? Don't look now, but there's Andre Yates. Oh, no, he's coming over here. There is no avoiding him. Andre greets you both, and then, ignoring Richard's evident lack of hospitality, he draws up a chair. The conversation soon dries up, and it is left to you to keep the small talk going. Okay, so look, there's Andre in the background, mooning about in the background. Richard's been a hunk with his wine glass. Okay, Andre's a bit of a sort of Brian Ferry-esque looking fella, very smooth. Right,
Paul appears to be suggesting by his Google search that we can all see that one of them looks a bit like Morton Harkin.
I mean, I'm sold already. Now, what do we do? There's three choices. Do you feel that Andre is being difficult? Do you feel that Richard is being difficult? Or if you feel that it's just one of those things, what are your choices? I quite like how coquettish that is. Well, two men fighting over me.
They're both being difficult, Emma suggests.
Well, they are both being difficult.
Rob suggests they clearly have a past.
Don't they?
One of those things people are saying it's just one of those things. Why is it up to us to fix it as well?
Silly men having an argument. What are we supposed to do? I mean, I wonder if she's thinking it's one of those things that it's like, well, it's nothing to do with me. It's the man's world. Let them fix it. Classic homosocial behavior. These rich men in this competitive world. What are they up to? I mean, it's nothing to do with her. What are we thinking? Do we think, yeah, Richard just seems suspicious now? Oh, okay. I mean, neither of them are behaving nicely, are they? What should we do? The part of me that's metagaming and thinks that to go with Andre means that we have to bin off Richard.
means that we have to make out that he's the one being unreasonable in order to bolster Andre's ego. Now, let's face it, Andre's the one who's looking after our horse and giving us a job. So if we're going to,
I like this.
That's
very strategic.
Machiavellian, if we're being
Yeah.
Machiavellian, but if we're being completely straight, then they're both being a bit difficult, and it's not really our problem.
I do like your thinking though, Chloe, because I would obviously just do anything because I'm dazzled by Richard. But I think maybe we should choose Richard's the one that being difficult and see what happens here if we can get on Andre's a better side with Andre.
Yeah, I think we need to butter Andre up if we want to get anywhere with this horse riding.
Let's see, 101. Oh God, I hope it doesn't backfire.
I take the blame if it does.
Who does Richard think he is? You say to yourself. He doesn't own you, however much you like him. Actually, that's quite sensible. The next day, you try to explain your friendship with Richard to Andre. He barely listens to you and seems to have withdrawn back into himself. It's no business of mine, he says coolly. You lead your own life. Monday morning comes, the first day of work. You rise at the crack of dawn for morning stables. You start getting ready when Andre appears yawning and pulling on a sweater. And I like him in his casual, his horsey stable wear. he curtly issues your instructions for the day and then leans on a stable door, chin cupped in his hands. His black mood makes you feel uncomfortable for the rest of the morning. Oh, he's a moody devil. No choice, we're turning to page 126. You decide to start with Braid. She is alert, her head is up, and her ears are moving inquisitively. She nuzzles you affectionately when you give her an apple. You clean her hooves, brush her forequarters and hindquarters, and lay her mane and tail. Then there are the water buckets to be cleaned out and filled afresh. You soon get into the routine. Before long, Braid's stable is mucked out, and then it's time for her first feed. At last, you're finished, and you move on to the other horses. Telegraph, red flag for me, Champion, and Kintyre. Andre passes in and out, and he quickly seems satisfied that you know what you are doing, although he says little. Soon you are joined by the other girls who work in the stables part-time. Turn to page 153, no choice. We've got some other girlies. That might be nice. We might make some friends.
No, these are our rivals. We need to do things like put dirty water in their buckets and mess up their stables, and we do.
I want this girl to be so sweet and for them all to be happy horsey girls together. Finished your chores. There's time for a cup of coffee in the tack room. You meet the other girls, Margaret, Tessa, and Jenny. They seem friendly enough, and soon the talk is of horses, horses, horses. Just before morning exercise, there's the sound of a sports car crunching to a halt on the gravel drive outside. That'll be Charlotte Hetherington, says Jenny. Andre Yates's femme fatale. Has he got a girlfriend? You find to your surprise that you feel a pang of jealousy. Well, she's fairly new on the scene, says Margaret, but she's out to get Andre, and when she's in for the kill, no man stands a chance. They giggle conspiratorially. And has he fallen for her charms, you ask? He's an enigma, confides Tessa, a dark horse. I've heard he's pining away for some long-lost love who broke his heart. Her voice trails away as Andre walks into the tack room. Time for morning exercise, girls, he barks. As you all troop out, Caroline walks into the yard, and I have to say, Caroline's the one who piques my interest. She's wearing a cotton shirt and a cashmere pullover of the same periwinkle blue as her eyes. Her beautifully cut jodhpurs hug her figure. She moves over to Andre with a proprietorial air as the tacked up horses are led into the yard. I'd like you to meet our new assistant here, says Andre to Caroline. Oh, hi, she says briefly, at the same time eyeing you with some suspicion. Turn to page 276, no choice.
I have to say, just to jump in, we've had more of a description of Caroline, clearly a Caroline Bingley figure, than anyone else.
Yeah, she's a classic other woman, isn't she? We have to see her and think, God, she's so gorgeous, I can't compete. So we need that level of detail, don't we? So we can just feel crap about ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine the young girl reading this going, I look rubbish in jumpers.
Exactly. And then there you get modern people like me who read lots of romances who are thinking, oh, I hope Caroline's one of the love interests. Suddenly Caroline spots Braid. She turns to Andre. I see you've got a new horse, she says. You didn't tell me, she adds rather petulantly. She looks good. Let me ride her. You'd better ask the owner, says Andre in neutral tones. He turns towards you. What about it? You are in an agony of indecision. Of course you want to ride Braid yourself, but equally you want to start off on the right foot with Andre. He, of course, is no help. He gives you no sign of his feelings whatsoever. Are we going to let Caroline ride Braid, or are we going to say no?
No, very firm no from Lisa.
Oof. Okay.
Get on the horse, Steve says.
So, okay. It's our horse. Why should Caroline be the one to ride it?
She's already taking up too much space in this.
Right.
No, get away from Braid.
Right.
She's not riding my horse. We're very strong feeling on no here.
And I think we're told this is the right decision. It says you decide to follow your instincts on 315. Good. I'm sorry, Caroline, you insist. Not just yet. I haven't had Braid for very long, and we have to get to know each other well during the early stages of schooling. Caroline plays impatiently with her whip and looks across at Andre. I see that your stables are being run by the grooms these days, she observes bitchily. Wow. Andre looks embarrassed at her rudeness. Sorry, Caroline, but she could be right. Why don't you ride Champion? As you mount Braid, Tessa reins in beside you. Good for you, she whispers. It's high time somebody put her in her place. You're not so sure. The last thing you want is an enemy so close to Andre. Turn to page 242. Oh my goodness. I don't think Caroline's going to let this go, do you?
It's tense. She's definitely not happy. We're going to...
Okay, here's Caroline. She gets her own picture as well. Absolute gorgeous dreamboat, equally as blow-dried as Richard. What a gorgeous creature. 242. Andre has decided that the horses should do some road work today. You are on Braid and Caroline is on Champion. The string of riders sets off at a brisk trot down the drive and into the metalled lane. After half a mile, you turn right onto a gravel path. Andre is well out in front. For a moment, he is hidden behind a bend in the track, and Jenny, Tessa, and Margaret are trailing behind. Swiftly, Caroline rides up alongside and brings her whip down hard on Braid's rump. Taken completely by surprise, Braid lashes out with her hooves and catches Champion on the fetlock. Andre hears the commotion and rides back. What the hell is going on? He demands. Caroline has dismounted and is all concern. Can't you even keep Braid under control? She accuses you bitterly. She passes her reins to Andre and moves to the rear of her mount. Champion is standing awkwardly, unable to put any weight on his nearest hoof. Caroline runs her hands over his pastern and fetlock. Only bruised, I think, Andre, she says knowingly. There's a superficial cut, though, where Braid caught him. Tight-lipped, you calm Braid down. She is sweating heavily. Andre is furious. I only hope you're right, Caroline, he says. You take over here on my horse. We're going back home. Okay, yeah, what a bitch. I know, it is low. Lots of anger about Caroline there. I don't fancy Caroline anymore. I've gone off her. Right. If you protest, you turn to page 91. Do you say nothing, or do you try to make some apology? Protest, say nothing, try to apologize.
This is tough, isn't it? Because if you protest, you get into an argument in the road. If you try to make an apology, you're just going to look stupid. If you say nothing, you're going to look like you don't care. No good options. I mean, say nothing, protest, tell the truth, blame Caroline. I don't think it's going to work, Tim, if we blame Caroline. She'll just deny it.
What do we think? Tell the truth, blame Caroline, protest. I want to say it's her to Andre.
Well, there's support for that. I'm sure I think it's the right choice, but there's support for it, and I think we should.
Or should we keep stum and just try and calm everything down?
As Steve says, stoicism is the meta game, so maybe try and get her back later.
Just chill and try and keep, I guess if we do nothing, keep everything on even footing, maybe our story will progress. What do we think?
Oh, but remember the advice in the beginning, if you do nothing, things will move on without you.
She whipped our horse, and I am Braid. Clearly my character is being described when they describe Braid all the way through the book. Proud, beautiful, strong. That's me in a nutshell. Don't hit me with your little whip.
So we should stick up for you then. Let's
I hope you would.
Right, page 91. You are in a silent rage. This is if you protest. But your position is very difficult. If you accuse Caroline, is Andre likely to believe you? You face Andre. The path is very narrow here. The horses got too close and Braid was surprised. Your lies seem to come across like some lame excuse. She's lying. Fortunately, Margaret comes to your rescue. That's right, Kintyre was holding back, so I couldn't see much, but certainly from where I was, Champion seemed to barge into Braid. Hey, go on, Margaret. You give her a thankful smile. Caroline looks like thunder. Well, says Andre, that's as maybe. What's done is done. Let's get these horses back to the stables. I want the vet to take a look at Champion. Caroline, you take over. Here, take my horse. Turn to page 39. I feel like we're going backwards. Oh, no.
No one likes a snitch.
Oh no. You lead Braid into the stable yard and Andre follows with Champion. There is a monotonous hollow clatter of hooves. You have not exchanged a single word on the way home. Andre seems to be lost deep in thought. Anxiously you settle in the horses while Andre calls the vet. Portable X-ray equipment is brought in and the vet has an optimistic forecast for poor old Champion. Eventually Caroline, on telegraph, leads in the rest of the party. She puts her head round the stable door. If you breathe one word of what really happened, I'll deny it, you know, she hisses. And who do you think Andre would believe, me or you? She asks spitefully. Just remember one thing, I could have you thrown out of these stables tomorrow. And then where would you and your precious Braid end up? She concludes triumphantly. Later that evening, you're making supper, although you've no real appetite. A knock on your door makes you jump. It's Andre. Turn to page 61. Oh, I wonder what he's been thinking. Okay, I'm really invested. I thought you'd like to know that the vet's just phoned, he says. He's had the results of Champion's x-rays and there's been no serious damage done, just bad bruising. He'll have to rest for a couple of weeks, but luckily the season hasn't begun. You give Andre a cup of coffee and he settles into an armchair. Now, he says, looking at you intently, tell me exactly what happened this afternoon. Caroline's threat immediately springs to mind. Are you going to tell the truth or are you going to stick to your original story?
Oh, truth.
Everybody wants truth. Yes. 184. Always. Yeah. Let's tell the truth. She's got to be brave. She's got to earn this. Yeah. Okay. You blush and fumble with your mug of coffee. Andre, this sounds awful and I don't expect you to believe me, but when we were riding down the lane, Caroline drew over beside me. Braid was quiet and collected. Then Caroline suddenly leaned over and lashed out at Braid with her whip. I have absolutely no idea why. Braid was taken completely by surprise and bucked. I couldn't control her. That's when she kicked Champion. You look nervously at Andre. I know it's a dreadful thing to say, you continue, but I think Caroline acted quite deliberately. Andre looks stunned. I'm sorry, he says, but I don't believe you. Why on earth would Caroline deliberately put the horses in danger? I think she must be jealous of me, you say flatly. Turn to page 130.
Damn.
Being quite brave. I like this. She's got guts, this girl. I like her. Andre gets up to leave. God, what a mess, he says. I know Caroline's been spoiled, but she's a genuinely super girl. She'd never knowingly put a horse in any kind of danger. Suppose Braid had broken Champion's pastern, he'd have had to be put down, and that's one accident the stable can't afford after everything else that's happened. Champion's owner is the only one that kept faith with me after the fire, and if he withdrew his horses, I'd be finished. I don't think you know what you've been saying. I'm sorry, but I know you were mistaken. Silently, you watch him go. You feel very alone and completely bewildered. Turn to page 254.
No choices here.
Oh no, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right?
I think it's the moment where the dark night of the soul or whatever.
Well, yeah, this is when in your contemporary romance novel, you'd be going over everything you've done, thinking, what, I've made such a mistake, I've blown it, all is lost. She's lost her job, she's lost her place, she's lost its respect. And sure enough, actually, I think this works out quite well because we jump to 3 months later. So in a way, we've had a dark 3 months of the soul. Let's see what's happened. It's 3 months later. Braid is responding excellently to her training. You are working well with Andre, and the incident with Caroline seems to be forgotten. Obviously, Andre said nothing. You manage an uneasy truce with Caroline. Jenny, Margaret, and Tessa have become good friends, and you enjoy working with them. Susan is another great ally. She works locally as a farm secretary. Richard has been a source of strength, and you have a great respect for Andre. The stable is being geared up for the start of the eventing season. Braid is in full vigour, and you're longing to start her in competition. Yay! Turn to page 213. We're actually going to get what we want. We're going to ride in competition. Let's see what happens. 213. We're eventing. Finally, exactly. This is a love story about a horse, and finally we get to do what we want to do with them. Eventing is a very controlled sport. It tests the strength and skill of both horse and rider. There are 3 stages. Okay, this is good for people who don't know about horses. There are 3 stages: dressage, cross-country, and show jumping. The most celebrated events last 3 days, although entries for these are not accepted until the horse and rider have proved themselves in less grueling trials, many of which last only a day. Right the way through the sport, there is a system of rigorous veterinary testing. Vets check the horses at every stage, and if there is the slightest sign of injury or lack of fitness, the horse must withdraw. You and Braid must start at the junior end of the sport. You spend your first season making a name for yourself. Andre proves what an excellent trainer he is. Braid is certainly not his only success. Champion does superbly well at badminton. With the growing reputation of his stable, Andre seems to be much more relaxed and less strained. He continues to see a lot of Caroline, but you are unsure of his feelings for you. Of hers for him, you have no doubt. Caroline is after Andre and provides you and the girls with an endless stream of gossip. Turn to 127, no choice. Oh, we're really being steered, aren't we? Okay, 127. You've been working late in the tack room. It's dark as you cross the yard. There's a high wind blowing and it feels rather spooky. You see a light on in the garage and walk across to turn it off. As you open the door, you realize you are not alone. Caroline and Andre are standing by the car kissing. Hurriedly, you retreat into the yard, your emotions confused. Are you simply embarrassed at interrupting a private moment, or do you feel upset that Caroline is so adept at pulling the wool over Andre's eyes? Or does your heart turn over, and are you overwhelmed by a sudden flood of jealousy? Okay, here are your 3 choices. You are embarrassed, you are upset, or you are jealous. How do we feel?
Oh, so this isn't a choice about an action. This is a choice about how you feel.
Am I embarrassed, upset, or jealous?
Well, all of the above. Upset, we're just cross. Jealous, surely we're jealous. Surely we're jealous. Upset seems to be the...
Upset and embarrassed. Okay, fuming with jealousy. Well, Jell, she has decided not to mix work and play due to success. Well, yeah. She has, her and Andre are on an even keel. Things are going well. I think she was still hopeful that it was going to turn romantic. And here's Caroline. Okay, what am I doing? Embarrassed, upset, jealous? I don't know what I am.
I think, well, let's count it up. We've got 1 for embarrassed, 2 for upset, 3 for embarrassed, 3 for upset, only 2 for jealousy.
Okay.
I don't care about Andre, but Caroline needs to be stopped. So we've got 5 for upset.
Upset, 1, 3, 5. Upset could be good. And maybe it's okay if he sees us upset. Shall we be upset?
Let's be
upset.
Yeah.
You go back into the tack room and sit down to think about what you have seen. You feel angry with Caroline and wonder why. You realize that you like Andre very much indeed, and you wish that Caroline was different. You also realize that there's nothing you can say to Andre, but you could speak to Caroline to find out her true feelings. The idea takes root, but you feel loath to put it into action. Do we speak to Caroline or do we not? We feel that we simply can't interfere. Should we confront Caroline and say, what are your intentions with Andre? What do we think? Or do we just back off? We can't interfere with that, can we?
Oh, but sitting back and letting it happen, being all meek and passive.
Oh, this won't end well, but speak up. Should we confront Caroline? Because she hasn't really paid for what she's done.
Speak up. The consensus appears to be.
Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. A few days later, you're working alone in the tack room. Caroline comes in and seems friendly and talkative. You're still worried about her relationship with Andre and tentatively bring up the subject. As soon as you speak, you realize you've made a mistake. Caroline's face whitens in fury. Let me make it clear, she says, her voice spiced with venom. Oh, I'm having that for one of my own books. That's good, isn't it? Andre is mine, all mine. If you interfere between us, I'll have you and your precious horse out of here within hours. And don't you kid yourself that I can't do it. Oh, Andre, you sigh to yourself, whatever have I done? What am I going to do? Braid and I have no future without you. And we are told to turn to page 331. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, we're very close to the end of the book. Does that mean something? Your attitude towards Andre does not change, but nothing really happens to alter the status quo. You and Braid are wait a minute, have I made a mistake? 331? It doesn't seem to read well. It does, it's 331. Okay. Your attitude towards Andre does not change, but nothing really happens to alter the status quo. You and Braid are successful in the junior events, and you finish the season promoted to the senior league. You arrange to quit Andre for the winter months, leaving Braid with him. You earn much needed cash as a temporary secretary during the winter, going to see Braid at weekends. Andre is at the yard most of the time, and so is Caroline. When spring comes, you move back to Andre and start getting Braid ready for the new season. You do well in the early stages, and Braid is luckily free from injury. You are entered for the Bicton horse trials, and Andre and Champion are coming with you. Turn to page 274. Okay. Oh, that was a big time jump, wasn't it? Doing a bit of secretarial work over the winter. Okay, it's not very exciting, is it? But we've got some cash. You are at Bicton for the trials. The Devon countryside lush and green, bright flashes of yellow gorse peeping through the heather on the hilltops. It's a wonderful morning, warm and bright with high clouds scudding through the sky. You enter the ring for the dressage. Braid is standing absolutely still, her ears flickering backwards and forwards while she waits for her instructions, giving you her full attention. You go through the exercises and you should now be traversing the ring in an extended trot. Braid's stride is short, impulsive, and energetic. How lucky do you feel? And we've got a choice with nothing attached to it. We can either turn to page 62 or 121. That's it. We can turn to 62 or 121. No choices. What do we do? I know. How lucky do you feel? And here we go. We toss the coin. 62 or 171. 62. Why is 62 popular? That seems like oh, now there's some 121s popping up. What are we thinking? Oh, there's a lot of 62s. Oh, there's a lot of 1, 2. I think, is it half and half? Oh God. What do you think, Chloe?
I think 62.
Oh.
Don't know why. Just
okay, 62. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, we're going right back. It makes me nervous. When I feel like we're going back to the beginning, that scares me. I feel like something's wrong. You continue the traverse do you think it's traverse or traverse? Traverse, at a collected trot. I'm not a horsey person. Suddenly you realize that your concentration has slipped. and that you are late in giving Braid her instructions to lengthen her stride. You make the transition smoothly into the extended trot. You have collected 5 penalty points for your lapse of concentration, and while the rest of your performance is excellent, you will start the cross country at a disadvantage because the dressage carries such a high percentage of points. You give yourself a mental shake and decide to concentrate on Braid. Are you feeling lucky? 124 or 307?
Oh God, I mean, don't ask me. I obviously made the wrong choice there. 307, people are saying 307.
I like being at this end of the book.
124, Paul says 307. 307.
I've literally, oh God, okay, well, okay. Oh, the tension. I'm on 307. Before continuing the competition, Braid must undergo a rigorous veterinary test. She's back in her stable and you notice her near side foreleg is swollen. What on earth can you do? If Braid fails the veterinary test, she will be eliminated. If the vet sees her in this condition, she certainly will be. How lucky do you feel? 225. Yeah, 225 or 64. These are crazy. Is that 4 in a row? 3 in a row? 225 or 64.
225, 225, 64, 225, 225. We're feeling the higher numbers, I believe. I think that's
225. Oh my Lord. Okay.
I'm too stressed to choose, indeed.
Oh God. Okay. 225. You are unlucky.
Oh.
Oh no. Braid's foreleg does not respond to treatment. Early next morning, Braid fails the veterinary inspection and she is eliminated from the competition.
Oh.
You have failed. Your adventure ends here.
No snogging, no competition wins. Just work secretary and then failed to do well. That's terrible.
Oh my goodness. All that, no boyfriend. No medals.
No boyfriend.
But there you go. Oh, you see, we played the game, ambition, mystery, and romance.
Tim wants to cheat. Tim, you're going to have to buy yourself a copy and go back to 64 yourself. Sorry about that, guys.
I mean, that's what I'll be doing tonight after this. Oof. Yeah, I think the next strand is quite long, isn't it? 64 and into the 40s. Wow.
No love for us. I will tell you all, I mapped all the endings and all the routes. Only a few of them involve any kind of romantic partnership ending. Most of them involve some kind of horrific horse injury or failure. You can see the red there. There's only one ending in which you get to marry Charles Bingham. I was desperately looking for that for ages. It's buried in quite a tangent plot line, but mostly it's horse injury and failure, and a quite sad plot line in which you marry someone and don't do horse riding, which is a bit sad. So
It's sad,
not
isn't
good.
it?
It's very hard to get a good ending, but
such is the equestrian life.
Well,
here's a good ending though. If you want your own copy of this book, I do have another copy. If you want to pop your name in here in the chat, I will just pick one at the end. We'll pick one and I'll post it anywhere in the world if you want.
You feel lucky.
You might be lucky. We'll come up with some kind of clever way to pick, some gamish way to pick. I don't know.
We'll roll a dice.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Kylie. That was brilliant. I feel like a failure at being a sort of young horse riding woman, failing to find love and failing to. We damaged Braid.
It'd be worse, could it?
It's a very upsetting. And Dad's not going to give us any more money. I don't think any of the Andre's not going to like us. Will Richard take us back?
See, that's what I'm going to do. I'd be straight round Richards. See if he can forgive me for taking up with Andre for so long.
Well, there's more in the Starlight Adventure series. I heartily recommend The Island of Secrets. That's not a good one, The Middle of the Runaway, but that one is very good. It's got some hot Greek windsurfers in it, and it's pretty sweet. So, and it's got a lot more choices. I found Star Rider to have very few choices. Yeah, but thank you for playing along, everybody. It's a lot more fun to do it as a group, I think.
It's we're pretty much at the end of the time we kind of allotted ourselves. And I imagine everyone's been looking and listening at screens for a while. There's so many different things we might pick up on and talk about sort of, for me, that was about collaborative reading, actually. And these books are very much addressed at a singular you, this kind of, you know, undescribed read, the undescribed character that you can kind of project yourself onto. And I did my absolute best, and look what happened. But I think in this book, we are Braid, aren't we? We're the horse, and we ended up lame. And you can track that through the whole book, as we're whipped and we're, you know, purchased and sold, and end up sort of in an actor's yard.
This is a very, very dark reading.
It was a hard life in the 80s as a young woman.
Iceland lasagna is in our future, Steve.
It's yeah, I don't know. I mean, and those of you who've read the Fighting Fantasy series, that will recognise it's sort of radically different, really, in terms of, you know, what constitutes winning, how you sort of negotiate that, and the huge lack of choice. That was almost like reading a novel. I think once we got to the Andre track, we were kind of, I don't know if we could have escaped him. I know you can on the map, but it's very difficult to
and
sort of,
not enough goblins, says Chris, either. So.
There were very few goblins. Well, we didn't meet the goblins. Possibly if we'd made a different choice early in the book, we might have had a very different adventure. And of course, now what you all want to do is go and buy a copy and replay it multiple times, I'm sure. I'm just going to chat.
I will disappear off the screen, but yeah, thank you for letting me basically railroad some choices there. I appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you. And thanks. If anyone has any sort of final comments or notes to make, it'd be, you know, you have 2 to 3 minutes to do so. But maybe you're all sort of depressed and sad as you mourn the loss of your horse.
Lisa saying I wanted Richard for the win, and when I'd only played this once before, and I think because I think always like a romance author, I feel like I got Richard and my happy ever after with him, because I feel like I was strategically working my way towards that happy ever after, and I wonder, you know, could I have gotten a different ending? You know, I think my whole personality, my whole, you know, all the cues I felt were there to send me into Richard's arms, and I got him. And I think I got to the Olympics as well. So, you know, just constantly choosing Richard.
Kiley, as a romance author, does this read feel like a romance book? It's described as a book of mystery and romance.
It's certainly, I mean, you could see I was actually genuinely invested. I was very excited for the adventure world and just, you know, being off on my own in this exciting place. But what I think that sort of trajectory of seeing a couple, or, you know, sometimes not just a couple, falling in love and sort of growing together and being tested, none of that's there, is it? And then there are none of those wallows where you're sort of suffering with them and hoping they can get back on track. There's none of that sort of that kind of thing that you know, romance readers keep hitting the button for, that we just want more of. But I still really liked it. I still wanted her to do well, because of course she's me, isn't she? She's you, the reader. So I wanted her to succeed in the same way I want my romance heroines to succeed. So
I suppose if this was a romance book, or if it was a romance, I think if, say, romantic comedies, you might get to this horrible point, but then you would move on and get to the bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would fully expect Richard to turn up in his car and then whisk me away, or for Andre to suddenly go through a redemption arc and become wonderfully kind and reveal his soft side, and I would be rewarded for suffering through his callous coldness, which is of course caused by some great hurt that he's experienced in the past. And then all would be forgiven, and HEA, happy ever after, would be achieved. But yeah, I'll just keep rereading it until you get the answer you want, says Kirsten. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, looking at the clock on my computer, we've reached sort of the end of our allotted time. Thank you, Kiley, again, for taking us through the story. It's really very enjoyable indeed. And thanks to everyone for all the comments. I'm going to try and download the chat, because it's really been very entertaining to have have your company as we've kind of read our way through this book. So thank you, everyone. I shall stop recording and wish you all a very happy afternoon. And I hope that it goes better than whatever our character was called this evening.